Hey everybody, welcome back to another deck profile Friday. In this video, we'll be covering another deck from the 2012 format, which was from Heart Gold, Soul Silver to Black and White Dark Explorers. And this time, we're not actually covering the best deck in the format, which was Darkrai, like the different Darkrai variants, Darkrai Terrakion, Darkrai Mewtwo, Speed Darkrai. But instead, we're going to be covering another really, really good deck. And this deck actually was, it actually ended up getting to the semifinals in the junior division. And it features Celebi, Mewtwo, and Terrakion, also known as CMT. And the whole point with this deck is to energy accelerate onto the various attackers that you have into the deck, with Mewtwo EX, Terrakion, and the Tech Tornadus EX. Right, and you do that through Celebi Prime's Forest Breath Poké Power, right? Which allows you to attach a Grass Energy card to one of your Pokemon, providing it's active, right? So the best plan of attack is, when something is knocked out, is to bring it active and then use that ability, right? And if you can chain those abilities, every single turn, you're going to be doing really good. And that's why you do have a little bit of a higher switch count, right? And yeah, it's just a really awesome, consistent deck. So, but let's get into the deck profile. So we have 3 Celebi Prime. So Celebi Prime here is 60 HP, which is, pretty average for a Celebi at this time, right? It doesn't really do a ton. It can't really take a ton of damage, right? It's very, very prone to one-hit knockouts. But it's Forest Breath, a Poké Power there, is why we play it. It allows you to attach a Grass Energy to one of your Pokemon, providing it's active. And then Time Circle there is actually not too bad. During your opponent's next turn, prevent all damage done to Celebi by attacks from your opponent's Stage 1 or Stage 2 Pokemon, right? That's not too bad. The problem is we don't play any Psychic Energy, so we cannot use that. It might be a good idea to tech 1 or 2, but I would say that that's at most, right? Because Celebi's not our main attacker, right? Other than that, the weakness to fire is pretty common, right? No resistance. Grass typically doesn't have a resistance, and for how small the Pokemon is, having a 1 retreat cost is actually pretty good as well. But our main attacker of the deck is actually Mewtwo EX. And this card here is an absolute monster. They brought back EXs in, I believe it was Next Destinies, right? Which I think was the set before Dark Explorers. 170 HP, retreat cost of 2, weakness to Psychic, resistance to nothing, which is pretty much average for a Mewtwo. X-Ball there is the main attack and the only attack that we use on the Mewtwo, for the reason I just described the Celebi. We don't play Psychic Energy. So X-Ball does 20 damage times the number of energy attached to this Pokemon and the defending. So if your opponent has 3 energies, right, on their active Pokemon, and you have 3 energies, and keep in mind, this is energy, not energy cards. So double colorless energy, which is played in this format, right, counts as 2 energy, not 1. It's 1 energy card that provides 2 energy, right? That'll do 120 damage right? And so this is, I guess, the first format of the Mewtwo Wars, where your opponent would promote a Mewtwo, and then you'd respond with a Mewtwo back, KOing their Mewtwo, right? And then you just chain it, right? So it was very important to let your opponent bring up their Mewtwo first. That way you would have a response KO, right? And other than that, it actually it does quite a bit of damage with 4 energies. You'll be dealing 160, so keep in mind that 160 is 10 damage short of the knockout. So you need to get a 5th energy somewhere, or add an additional 10 damage somewhere, right? And plus power was another really common card played in this format, just to get that 10 extra damage, right? And that is the main attacker. The secondary attacker that we have is Terrakion. So Terrakion here is actually really good because it knocks out Darkrai. It hits Darkrai for weakness with a fighting and a colorless. It says here it does 30. And if any of your Pokemon were knocked out by damage from an opponent's attack last turn, this attack does 60 more. So that's 90. And with Darkrai's weakness being fighting, right, that 90 will actually be 180 damage, which is a perfect KO on Darkrai EX. And then it's also its second attack there, which we can use. Land Crush just does a solid 90, and it doesn't have the requirement of one of your Pokemon being knocked out. Other than that, 130 HP is pretty standard for the dogs of Unova, right? Or I guess the cats of Unova. I don't know what you call them, dogs, cats, whatever. No resistance, which is normal for that, right? You can maybe put. He could have maybe had a lightning resistance, but I don't know. I guess they just didn't make that with that. Weak to grass. That's a normal thing considering it's a rock type, I believe, in the game. 4 retreat costs is absolutely brutal for this thing. I think it could have been a little bit less. I think it could have maybe been at 3. And larger, heavier Pokemon like Golem or Steelix, right, or Rhyperior should have that type of retreat cost, not a Terrakion. So, but yeah, that's the secondary attacker of the deck. Now on to the support Pokemon. We do have 2 Smeargle and a single Shaman. Smeargle here is absolutely awesome portrait. This has been used ever since the 2010 format. If Smeargle is your active, you may look at your opponent's hand. If you do choose the supporter card you find there and use the effect of that as this Pokemon power. Absolutely amazing. It sets up. You're able to draw cards off of it, providing they have, let's say, a Professor Juniper or an N, right? It's really good. Everything else is average HP, retreat cost, resistance, and weakness, right? As attack there, Tail Wrap. We have the energy to play. We do play double colorless energy, so you could use it if needed, but chances are you're probably just going to attack with something else, right? And then Shaman there. We it's there pretty much for the Celebration Wind Poke Power, right? Which can really, heavily influence the damage that will be coming from our Mewtwo EXs, right? As it can move energy to any Pokemon, right? It pretty much allows you to do what you want with your energy for that turn. It's also grass, which is cool. It's great against opposing Terrakion. It's attack their energy bloom. We do play grass energy, so we could use that. And then everything else, is pretty much average. HP, retreat cost, weakness, and notably here, this is a resistance to fighting. It's because this is the sky form and not the normal form or the land form, right? And that is the support Pokemon. And lastly, the last Pokemon that I want to go over is the Tech Tornadus EX. So Tornadus, 170 HP, retreat cost of 1, which is really good for it. Weakness to lightning, which is normal because it's a flying type in the game, and resistance to fighting. So once again, that's I guess normal. Blow through is another pretty good attack, right? It does 30 damage, and if you discard, not discard, if there is a stadium in play, so that's just the requirement, just having a stadium does 30 more damage, so it's 60 damage, which is cool. You can knock out that Celebi Prime that your opponent has active, right? Power Blast there is 100 damage attack, so it's a nice beefy attack when you can't get enough attack power with that Mewtwo or the Terrakion, right? But it does have the potential cost of discarding energy and energy, right? And everything else, about the card is pretty cool. So that is the last attacker of the deck. So you only have 6 attackers, 3 Mewtwo, 2 Terrakion, and this. Just one of this. So, and that is the Pokemon. So now we have the trainer cards, supporters, and stadiums, and we play for supporters for Professor Oak's New Theory, 3 Professor Juniper, and a single N. So with that there, right, the Professor Oak's New Theory, you can shuffle your hand into your deck and draw 6. Juniper, you discard your hand and draw 7. N, you shuffle your hand into your deck. Your opponent does as well. Then each player draws a card for each of his or her prize cards remaining. So really, really good. Then lastly, for these stadiums, 2 Sky Arrow Bridge. The retreat cost of each basic Pokemon in play is a colorless less, which is actually really good because pretty much every Pokemon that we have in here is basic. So being able to give your Celebi, your Smeargle, right, your Shaman, free retreat is absolutely awesome, right? You can use those switches, I guess, a lot better, right? And that is the supporters in the stadiums. So next, we have the actual trainer cards of the deck, right? So the trainer cards, we have 4 Dual Ball, 4 Junk Arm, 3 Pokemon Catcher, 3 Random Receiver. There we go. 3 Switch, 2 Aviolite, 2 Plus Power, and then the singles. We have an Energy Retrieval, an Energy Search, a Potion, and a Revive. So these are the trainer cards. Dual Ball there is really good. Flip 2 coins for each head. Search your deck for a basic Pokemon and show it to your opponent. Put in your hand. This is way better than Pokemon Collector, as this is a lot faster of a card. And by playing this, you can play a draw supporter in the same turn. Junk Arm is like the Heart Gold Soul Silver's item finder, right? You can use any one of these cards with Junk Arm, right? You just can't use a Junk Arm with a Junk Arm like you could, but you probably wouldn't want to, right? Actually, pardon me, even says you can't choose Junk Arm with the effect of this card. So I guess you throw that out the window, but this can use pretty much every one of these trainers, which is really, really good. Pokemon Catcher. So this was the version that was being played at the time. It didn't require a coin flip. It was pretty much an automatic gust of wind, right? And that was incredibly good because you're able to get those knockouts very, very easily on your opponent, right? And that's one thing that you have to be aware of, right? Is when you're playing with the Mewtwo's, is just being careful of because you know your opponent could proactively just knock out your Mewtwo, right? You know, if they were able to, like let's say, put together a combo with like a double Celebi attachment and a double colorless energy with a plus power Pokemon Catcher, right? They could really knock out your Mewtwo without any energy on it during their turn, right? And that's something that you need to be ready for, right? Random receiver is really good at getting your supporter that you need for the turn. Switch the switching things, right? Eviolite is really, really good because the Pokemon that you have in the deck aren't fully evolved, right? The fully evolved Pokemon or the deck, pardon me, is the card, I guess, that this card doesn't affect. If the Pokemon this card is attached to is a basic Pokemon, any damage done to this by attacks is reduced by 20, and that's exactly what we play in here, right? Plus power, you know, adds an extra 10 damage, right? So an extra 20 if you play 2, an extra 30 if you play 3, right? Which is cool. Energy retrieval gets energies back from the discard. Energy search searches out that one energy that you need. That's crazy in how energy search, you know, otherwise known as a really bad card, and like I guess when it came out, right, is being played in this format. Hell, it's even being played in the current Sword and Shield on format, right? And it's very surprising to see. Potion is another pretty good one. Just heal 30. So they actually upped it by 10, right? Because when it first came out, it said heal 20. And now they upped it to 30. And then Revive pretty much gets you that extra basic. So it acts as a 4th Mewtwo. And it really can act as a 8th Mewtwo. If you use all of your junk arms getting a revive, right? So being able to play that extra copy or many copies, right, with a junk arm of pretty much any basic Pokemon that you have in the deck is absolutely awesome. And that is it for the trainers, supporters, and stadiums. So lastly, we have the energy cards, right? And the energies are actually really simple, right? We use the appropriate typing for this. And like I said earlier, we do not play psychic energy. So we do play 6 grass energies, 4 double colorless energy, and then 3 fighting. So the grass is obviously for the Celebi Prime to accelerate, right? The double colorless, once again, is really good for that Mewtwo, right? And you can use it on Smeargle if you need to attack. Another really big thing is it helps you retreat your bigger Pokemon a lot easier should you need to retreat, right? And then fighting there is obviously for the Terrakion, right? It allows you to get, use that attack, retaliate, and I think it's called Lands Crush or whatever, right? The one that does 90. A hell of a lot easier, so. And that is the deck. Really, really simple, right? It's simple, basic list. I believe this was Zachary Bocari's list that he used. in the 2012 World Championships, right? So really, really cool. And as for matchups, right? I guess it just, like I said, it depends on the cards that you get, right? And what your opponent starts with, right? And what you start with, what you draw, right? I think that this deck can win pretty much every deck in the format, right? As Mewtwo is really, really good at hitting opposing Mewtwo's. And then Terrakion, right, counters the Darkrai. So, like I said, it just depends what you get, what they get. And one other factor that I'd like to throw in there would be the ability to respond KO. If you cannot get a respond KO on your opponent when they knock something out of yours, you're going to have a hard time, right? You need to be able to trade turn after turn after turn. And the game could definitely be over in a few turns, right? So because of the prizes that the EXs are worth, Mewtwo and Darkrai. So another thing too, was speaking of prizes, is the trade for Terrakion versus Darkrai. Terrakion is worth only one prize, right? And Darkrai is worth two. So if you are able to get that KO on the Darkrai, you could potentially even the prize exchange, putting it in your favor, right? And knowing when to do that is pretty key as well. So, all right, so that is the deck. We got Celebi, Mewtwo, Terrakion, known as CMT. And yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. If you like what you're hearing, give this video a like, thumbs up, and leave a comment as well. I'm always interested to see what you want to hear next. And if you find the channel of value, if you like what you're seeing and learning, right, and if I'm helping you out, right, if it's entertaining as well, consider maybe subscribing, right? That's my goal, is just to try and add value to everybody and entertain them. And one of the other passions of mine is playing older formats. I'm a big nostalgic player. I've been playing since base set, right? I actually still have this starter deck box of my first starter deck that I ever opened, which is like the 2-player starter set with the Shadowless Machamp, when I was on vacation at the time in Mexico, right? And yeah, it was absolutely awesome. So, all right, awesome. Thank you so much for watching, everybody, and see you in the next video.